Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out for the brief of the ongoing search for the overdue aircraft in the vicinity of Cedar Key. Today's speaker will be Sector St. Petersburg Deputy Commander Randall Brown. The Commander will be providing initial remarks, and we'll open up for questions for about 10 minutes. If any further questions need to be answered, we can accommodate those after. And now introducing Commander Randall Brown.
Good morning, everybody. As Greg mentioned, I'm Commander Randall Brown. I'm the Deputy Sector Commander of Sector St. Petersburg, and I'm also the Search Mission Coordinator for this ongoing case. Yesterday, at approximately 5 p.m., the Sector St. Petersburg team received a call of a report of an overdue aircraft. We immediately began to work with the Air Force Coordination Center to determine any last known position of that aircraft. The aircraft was reported to have 3 persons on board: a 65-year-old male, Jasper Gerlis, a 60-year-old female, Way Singletary, and Jasper's teenage son. After we were able to coordinate with the Air Force Rescue Coordination Center to do a radar analysis, we were able to determine at approximately 11 o'clock yesterday was the last known radar ping for this aircraft, which was approximately 7 miles south of Cedar Key, Florida. We then worked with the Air Force to determine how this aircraft may have been able to glide to try and determine a reasonable search area to start to send our assets. After we were able to conduct that work, we immediately launched Station Yankeetown 27-foot rescue boat. We contacted our partners at Fish and Wildlife, Levy County, Cedar Key Fire and Marine Rescue, and basically the entire search and rescue team went out to start looking for the overdue aircraft. And they have been on scene throughout the night. So they battled fog overnight, which unfortunately Mother Nature made it very difficult for us to try and see the surface of the water from the air. So we have been able to keep our surface assets, and then again, as the sun came up this morning and began to burn off patches of that fog, we were able to get a C-130, a large fixed-wing aircraft, up to this area and start looking, as well as another Coast Guard helicopter and a Citrus County helicopter searching this area. And most importantly, in any of these cases, myself as the search mission coordinator, I've been in touch with all 3 different family members in the groups that are looking for their loved ones in the Coast Guard, and I know that every one of our partner agencies' thoughts and prayers are with the family. There are a lot of unknowns in this case right now as we continue to investigate and look forward. So I ask that everyone, if you have information, the plane is a Cherokee Piper single-engine plane. It's a white plane with a red and blue stripe. I believe pictures have been provided. So if there's anyone who has seen this, we'll go ahead and pass that contact information after this briefing to make sure that we get all the information we can. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with the family that are looking for their loved ones at this time.
Commander, what do you know about engine trouble reports? Did they make any radio report? We're seeing on social media the family is saying something about there was a report of engine trouble. What do you know about that?
The report that we received was that there was previous engine trouble in a separate flight. I'm not exactly sure what time, that required an emergency landing in the past, which was successful. But at this point, there was no radio contact reporting any distress, engine trouble, or anything like that around the 11 o'clock time yesterday.
Can you say and spell the names of the 3 missing?
If we can, I'll have the Public Affairs Detachment provide that afterwards. I don't have that in front of me right now.
Have your crews found any evidence as to a plane crash at this point?
At this point, we're hoping that daylight helps us and that we can actually see something, but we have not found anything that we can correlate to the missing persons or the plane.
Do we know if they made this particular flight before between Brooksville and Cedar Key, or any indication yet?
I am not sure. Their intention was to leave Brooksville and go to lunch on Cedar Key. We believe they left somewhere around the 10:30 time frame yesterday from Brooksville to get up there.
How tough of a search is this? Because it's a big area, even though you've pinpointed it somewhat. How hard is that to search that big of an area?
It's a difficult, any time that we're searching in the maritime environment, and then you add fog to that, it makes it even more difficult. And the area is approximately 150 square miles that it's grown to overnight, basically the size of the city of Tampa that we're looking. once we can get the fog to burn off, we are hopeful that daylight is going to help us tremendously try and find some evidence.
But do you definitely think they're over water?
That was the last radar, was around 11 o'clock, and it was over water. It was about 7 miles approximately south of Cedar Key.
Can you tell us about that last radar contact?
Sorry, there's family from Odessa, Florida, family from Brooksville, and that's the general area that they're from. And then there's also a family member that's in Jacksonville.
Can you tell us about that last radar contact? Was that an active ping from their transponder, or was that a passive sweep of some kind?
It was a radar contact that Air Force Rescue Coordination Center provided. So there was not an active ping. We don't have any EPIRBs or emergency locating transmitters or anything from that. It was actually the air radar.
Could you expound a little bit more on that about the Air Force ping, how that's gathered?
I'm actually not the expert on how the Air Force does that. We rely on those folks to give us that information so that we can start our search.
We're gonna do one more question.
And what can you say about the flight plan for this? I guess has that impacted your search efforts, not having that plan for?
We had a general plan, but they were flying under visual flight rules and did not actually file a detailed flight plan. But we just had a general idea that they were leaving Brooksville and headed to Cedar Key.
Are there any messages you want to give to voters or people in that area that you may ask for some public assistance on that?
Absolutely, and thanks for asking. The boating community up there, once we sent out an urgent marine broadcast over Channel 16 on VHF radio, we had commercial salvage partners that went to the area to start to look. So we'll take any information we can. However, just be advised that there are a lot of boats in that area, and if you're going to go search, please let us know that you're out there and what you see, because we want to make sure that the safety of the responders, the Good Samaritans, and the Coast Guard and all the partners are taken into account as well. And we have several aircraft in the area, so we're deconflicting that airspace.
Last question. Do you know why or what was going on in that 6-hour window, roughly, or 7 hours between that last ping and then the information getting to St. Petersburg sector? Do you know if other agencies were looking and then they reached out to?
We don't have any reports of other agencies looking. Around 1700 was the first time that we were notified of the overdue aircraft at that time.
I guess who made that notification?
One of the family members called in and was able to get in touch with I can't recall the agency's name, but they were able to then basically get into the system so that we could start looking and doing our forensic analysis. But that's all the questions we have. I'm going to go back up and continue the search. And again, I just want to close that the family is absolutely in our thoughts and prayers, and I'll be staying in touch with those folks today to make sure that they're as up to speed as everybody else. Thank you.
You guys will do another briefing today?
My
we
first
don't have
name
any more
is
briefings
Randall,
scheduled right now.
R-A-N.
We'll let everyone know if we have any more briefings.